So let's talk about the new advances to the season, the games we haven't seen yet, and the things that are yet to really be in the NBA. I'm really pushing to talk about two games. Look, the Celtics, today is more of a general recap, but the Celtics won the series. That's not surprising. Evan Mobley actually played great throughout the entire series. He was pretty good. He was consistent. He was actually playing great. But when they lost Donovan Mitchell, it was kind of over. And I feel like the problem was their fourth quarters. They had good first quarters, second quarters, and even some good third quarters. But normally they would always trail in the fourth. And that was kind of a problem for them. And it made them basically be very inconsistent when it came to winning games. Then we have the Mavericks versus, and by the way, Boston won. Boston is on to the conference finals. They have had the easiest path in the entirety of the playoffs, but also they did win 64 games in the regular season. So at least their easy path was because they went hard in the regular season. And I feel like they honestly deserve that. If you do good in the regular season, you deserve to have an easier path in the playoffs because that's the whole point of getting the first seed. On the other conference, though, the first seed is not really getting any love. They're facing the Dallas Mavericks right now, which are an extremely tough team to beat, especially when you have Luka and Kyrie just going crazy every game. Last game, Kyrie didn't get that many shots, but he actually made the most of the shots that he did get. He went 2 for 2 from three. He made 3 out of his 9 field goals. Wow, wait, I don't think I'm getting that number right. Yeah, he made 3 out of 9, which is not a great percentage, but with the 3-point added, he shot 5 for 11. But the real GOAT in last game was Luka. Finally, he stopped whining, and as I said last video, I thought he was complaining too much. And the real reason why, Luka needed to stop doing that was because he hasn't even been a consistent player against this team, and now him being able to turn it up and consistently be this good of player and not whine, not throw himself to the floor, not do all of the things which he was doing in the past two games, I feel like helped the Mavericks out a lot. He got a 31-point triple double, he got a block, he got 11 assists, and he was plus 13 when he was on the court. I honestly really liked how Dallas played. I feel like PJ Washington was one of the best trades of the season, and Derrick Jones Jr. as a starter has felt like something that we can rely on as being constant. And Luka turning up really was the catalyst for them winning this game. Now, what I will say is Shea has been doing amazing in this series too. I do believe that he has been the single proponent of the Thunder being this good, and the amount of things that he's been doing for his team when they underperform, overperform, somewhat perform has been pretty amazing. Like, he's been shooting great percentages for the series. He's gotten 30 in most of the games. And in my opinion, I think Shea has been the best leader you can be. I feel like the problem is more to do with his team. His team, even though they're good, they do have the problem where they're inconsistent in big moments. And they have clear deficiencies which can make them kind of be bullied sometimes in some departments. These deficiencies are like lack of size at the big man position. They do not have big men, and I'm sorry if that sounds redundant, but it's true. Like, they do not. Chet is small, Chet is skinny, Chet is very, malleable, basically, and he can't really mess around with the two or the three dudes who Dallas has at the 1, 2, or 3. Those guys are much stronger, much more experienced, much more athletic, and have more power than him in general. Jalen Williams is good and he's actually been playing well, but he's just so inconsistent. It's like some days he'll look great, he'll look like he's running the floor, and other days he'll look bad. He always gives the effort, which is important, but I feel like sometimes you just wish that he could give you 20 points every night or at least be uber efficient. Isaiah Joe and Lou Dort are where the real problem comes in. Their guard rotation that's not SGA, like they're running this really short lineup versus a team which is running a really big lineup, and they're just getting abused. I feel like Isaiah Joe has had some pretty good games in this series, and the fact that you do not have like that really good wing is something that definitely you would have to work on in this year's draft. But in my opinion, I feel like the thing with the Thunder is just that they're young, inexperienced, and they just need to get accustomed to the playoffs. You know, the Mavericks are there every year, and they have veteran guys, so they're two completely different teams. When it comes to the Timberwolves and Nuggets game, which is obviously the game which I was most excited to cover, it was an amazing game. Anthony Edwards played his butt off. He got 27, and in my opinion, I feel like his game was more potent than the stat sheet says. He was a plus 43 when he was on the court. And I feel like the biggest thing for the Timberwolves was just the fact that they were relentless from start to finish. They were never settling, and actually, I would say that they played the Nuggets like the Nuggets play other teams. A lot of passes, share the ball, make as many points as you can, and make sure that you're not holding on to any big leads. Always play consistent, always play good defense. And if you have a lead, and this is something that they haven't done for most of the series, if you have a lead, expand on it and play defense. I feel like I said this the other day when I said that what their strategy to win needs to be shutting down the two heads of the table, which are Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And I said that in my other video because I said, like, hey, if you shut down those two guys, everyone else falls with them, right? Like, you might shoot a good percentage, but they're the ones who create the assists, who create the offense, who create the mismatch problems. And seeing Jokic standing the entirety of the fourth quarter was a pure sign of, like, anger from Jokic. Obviously, that might be something that goes down in the history books. That might be just a tantrum or something that we look at and laugh at in the future. But I believe that the relentless effort from the Timberwolves is what put them here. I feel like after they won 2 games, they became very complacent, and it was obvious that they were not getting the looks, the opportunities, and that they were not playing the defense, which they are so known for. Also, I feel like their shooting wasn't even that good. It was just that the Nuggets flamed out because they were playing such good defense, and this is where the Timberwolves played great. Their offense, they only got to 115 points, but they won by 45. So the biggest thing for them was the fact that they just were able to play this defense, and then their offense came second. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, dog, and really good player. He said, I'll see you in Game 7, and he is going to see the Denver staff in Game 7. I believe that this was more of a testament to hustle and effort as opposed to defense. And the rebounding is really the biggest thing. When Minnesota can get rebounds, and especially offensive rebounds, and take them away from Jokic, they win the game. They got 62 rebounds in this game, and I feel like the biggest thing with that was that they were trying, they were going for it, they were throwing themselves for every rebound on offense. They were playing this very nice, patient offense, and especially a guy like Mike Conley and his consistency defensively and offensively and what he provides, I feel like has been very positive for Minnesota. With that being said, for the next game, what should Minnesota do? Well, apart from obviously saying that you're going to do the same thing, I feel like it comes down to 3 main things. First, play the defense. The defense is what makes the offense, and without defense, no games are won. Second, give 150% effort. The Timberwolves need to be getting every rebound, and this is if they want to win the series, because for the Denver Nuggets, we know how they win series. They run great offense, abuse mismatches, pass a lot. That's how they win. But for the Timberwolves, it's play the defense, play with the effort to get the rebounds, to get the steals, to get the blocks, and all the little things that might not show up on a box score like a deflection could lead to something that actually does show up on a box score like a rebound. And third is never get complacent. A big problem is that Minnesota would play the first quarter like the Lakers, where they would play the first 2 quarters, get a lead, and then in the third and the fourth quarter, they would kind of sag off because they just kind of thought that they would win the game. But Denver doesn't like people when they do that. So they need to go from the first minute to the last minute, playing as hard as they can, and making sure that if they get a lead, to not let up and not allow themselves to be on the watch. I said this. Denver plays at 70% for the entire game instead of playing at 100% for the first 2 quarters and then having to tone it down to 50%. So you need to play Denver like they play you. You're either playing at 100% all the time or you're not beating Denver.